847 more people have been killed in Chicago than in the two combined wars that my buddies fought in. My friends who laid their lives down in Iraq and in Afghanistan did not go to die there so that Americans can tear each other apart here. I highly recommend we start fixing this, and we got to arrest the individuals who are part of this domestic terrorism that wants to kill Americans, period. I'll be followed by Mr. Mark Curran.
Hi, how y'all? Mark Curran. So by way of I'm running for the United States Senate. By way of background, I was a former county, state, federal prosecutor, the longest serving sheriff in Lake County history. So what happened here the other day, funeral going on, gang drives by, open fire, young people shot, women shot, total disregard for any life, whether no matter who it is. So what we need to understand is this is evil. These people are evil. They're not misunderstood. And the gangs that terrorize these neighborhoods, they stand for evil. 100 years ago, Al Capone ran these streets. 100 years ago, Al Capone owned the elected officials in Chicago. Today, it's the Black Gangster Disciples, it's Rukins, it's, Latin Kings, it's all kinds of street gangs. The same thing is going on. Dick Durbin stands on the floor of the United States Senate and says he doesn't want President Trump to send in any help with regards to the streets of Chicago. I don't know who's paying Dick Durbin to do that, but you know what? That's scum. There's people that are dying all over these neighborhoods. They're young people. They need help. They'll take help any way they can get it. I don't know what you're thinking about, but I'm telling you, Dick Durbin, that is totally inexcusable. Start standing up for the safety of America, especially the most bloodiest street in America.
I'm Teresa Rayburn, and my name is spelled R-A-B-O-R-N. I'm the Republican nominee for Congress, the 2nd Congressional District, and I am here to denounce all of this violence that is going on. The other day, 10 women were in that group of people that were shot. These people, whatever happened to protecting women and children? So far this year, in only 7.5 months, more children under the age of 10 have been murdered than in the previous 2 years combined. It is imperative that we bring people together and come up with policies that will protect our communities and to make sure that our families are safe and secure in their neighborhoods and not be in fear every day of being shot. Thank you.
Morning. I'm Mike Frizzalone, and I'm running for 3rd District for Congress. The fabric of these communities are made up of families. Families who want their children to be able to go safely to school, safely recreate, and even safely watch TV in their own home. We must restore law and order in our streets and in our communities. I vow as a congressman to make sure we do more to protect our families and our communities. Thank you.
I'm Tom McCullough. I'm CCULLAGH. Again, I'm Tom McCullough, an Illinois State Senate candidate for District 49. I live in Will County, and I grew up on the south side of Chicago, the far south suburbs, and I have a family member who lives not 5 minutes from here. And the violence growing up and watching the violence happen throughout the years, we always thought it would get better, and it hasn't gotten better. And the politician's first responsibility to people is to protect them. And every single person who's responsible inside this area, you're not following through what you were elected to do. Stand up for the people before anything else. Ignore your donations, ignore everything else, do what's right for the people. And that's it. Thank you.
My name is Ben Beerley. That is spelled B-I-E-R-L-Y. Major United States Marine Corps, retired. I'm here, let me first correct the record on the shooting that happened here at this corner. It happened down this street here And the funeral home is where people ran to safety. So that made the headline, but let's correct it. Okay, people went there to be safe. They didn't get shot in front of it. Okay, and we need to make sure that we get that straight. That people ran there and the business across the street for safety and not in danger at those businesses. Having said that, we need to look at what's really going on. We need to have a discussion. Let's face it, this is not something that's going to be corrected overnight. I am absolutely thrilled to hear that President Trump wants to send a task force here to get the people off the street that we don't need here. But this is not just a political problem, it is also a cultural problem. But politics has added to, and in fact, in some ways created this problem by incentivizing and even demanding fatherless homes here in Chicago and throughout the nation. When there is not a father in the home, you can expect that there's a higher rate of violence, drug use, suicide, dropping out of school, everything that we look at as the problems that we face as a community and as Americans really traces back to that, with how we do welfare and how we restrict home ownership in some cases. We don't want to be reckless, but getting fathers to take responsibility and raise their children with the woman that they love is the best hope that we have, and we as politicians need to support that. I'll be followed by Anthony Beckman, who is running for state senate in the 10th district.
Thank you very much, and good morning to everybody here. I'm Anthony Beckman. I'm running for 10th District State Senate. I'm also a police officer. I've been a police officer for 18 years. I have family members that are police officers in the city, suburbs, and in the state of Illinois. Through my 18 years, I've never seen anything dividing and devastating like this. And it's really sad. It's not only horrifying, but it's sad. And we have to hold our elected officials accountable for this. As we see across the nation, this is occurring in all of our major big cities. And the common denominator for all of that is they've been run by leftist, progressive, liberal Democrats for years that don't want to find solutions. They don't want to find solutions for the urban areas. They don't want the gangs stopped. They don't want the drugs off the street. You see it today that they're incentivizing this. They're not telling us the protesters, the rioters, to stand down. They don't want the gang violence to stop. They want this to be a political message when it shouldn't be about politics. It should be about human life. That's all this is. It's human life. And we're talking about crazy things like defunding the police. How could we be defunding the police in times like this when we should actually be funding them? We should have more cops on the streets. The city of Chicago is probably about 5,000 short in terms of manpower of policing. And they're talking about defunding it or more. Or in New York City, they just took $1 billion away. They're going to be doing this to all the big cities. And it's going to hurt these areas, the urban areas here. The only people that are going to be hurting by this are the citizens. The businesses are going to be coming back because of the violence here. We have to stop the mayhem, and we have to start holding people accountable, and we have to start working with police officers and doing the right thing. And this whole defunding is just nonsense. Let's start funding the police and start working together in the communities with law enforcement. Thank you.
My name is Yeso Yun, Yesoeyoon. I'm voting for Illinois State I'm voting for Illinois State House Representative 17th District. So this is what's going on. Whenever I see news and what's going on in our city, this is ridiculous. We need police. Defunding the police is a ridiculous idea. We must protect our citizens and also fulfill their needs. With public parties, we always support their needs and also law and order, and make sure that we always, provide safety for all. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Jeff Wheelfelder, and I am running for state representative in the Illinois House 19th District. And I'm here to say that the violence that you see today on these streets is a result of failed liberal democratic policies. In a recent town hall up on the northwest side where I'm running, some of the opposition pointed out to the Chicago police and said that the policing system isn't working for us. Who are they talking about? Last year, the Chicago police took 10,000 illegal guns off the street. That's 10,000 chances for a violent encounter. Yet it was only a handful. If the false narrative of violent racist police against black people is true, why would there not be more violence against black people with all of those instances of opportunity? I'll tell you why there wouldn't be. Because those are lies. Those are lies based upon other lies. Okay? People point to the Ferguson report. People point to the Chicago DOJ report. Let me ask you a question. Does anybody here read those reports? I highly doubt it. No, he hasn't read them, okay? I have read them. What I can tell you is that, let me give you an example. 75% of the NBA is black. Does that mean the NBA is racist against white people? No, it does not, okay? The data that is used in those reports to call police racist is the same exact type of data. It is a lie. And based upon that lie, innocent people are dying in neighborhoods like this while the mayor moves to a neighborhood in Sauganash where they are not. These people do not have to sit there and deal with the repercussions personally of the violence that their failed policies cause. And that is what I'm here to say is that is a failure of leadership that on the state and county and local level of progressive liberal Democrat policies. We cannot continue to defang and declaw the sheepdog and then wonder why he's losing battles to the wolf and the sheep are dying. And that is simple as that. Thank you.
I just want to thank the press for coming here. Without you, we won't be able to get our voice out. Again, the joint statement is signed. You can take pictures of it. We are going to have copies of the 9 signed one to you. Once we get it uploaded, you'll all get a copy of it. Thank you again. Much appreciated for coming. God bless you all.
Would anyone like to ask any questions? I think we just gave some of them.
We actually need more pieces.
I'll talk about a solution here. So, all of us were obviously not from this district. We've come from across Chicagoland, from as far away as Lake County, northern Illinois, all out west. And it boils down to homeownership rates, investiture inside the communities. If Lori Lightfoot and the governor and other people want to work together and bring a property tax cap down to 1%, bring home rates in Englewood instead of $1,600 mortgages for $600 for a $60,000 house, bring it down to $800, bring the investment homeownership from the community 13% up to 70%, you're going to see those crime rates go through the floor. People are going to care about their neighborhoods. The neighborhoods are going to get rebuilt. They're going to look wonderful, and people are going to want to live inside those neighborhoods. And that's it. It comes down to homeownership rates, bringing a property tax cap in, and bringing up investiture. Thank you.
Real quick, your comment on the permits coming into the city, federal agents coming into the city.
We all welcome it. We all welcome it.
Our local politicians have handcuffed our police. The police are no longer able to take the action that they could in the past. Because they're answering to a mayor that doesn't have their back and local politicians that do not have their back. The feds would be able to come in. Believe me, ask any police officer. They do not want to back down to the violent criminal street element, ever. It's an admission of defeat. We don't admit defeat. We are not being allowed to fight the fight. The feds would be allowed to come in and fight the fight because they don't have to answer to the mayor. And it's that simple.
Colonel Sigari orchestrated this press conference, invited all the leaders essentially that were running for office. you'll see up here we're all Republicans. It's not, it was not intentional, but you see all of the people up here are essentially pro-law enforcement. That's the economy right now. It's going on in terms of the politics, the reality of Illinois politics. The Republicans are standing in favor of law enforcement. The Democrats are standing with the street gangs that are destroying, terrorizing, and killing young people and all kinds of victims throughout the city.
You asked about solutions. I actually have quite a few solutions on my website, RaybornForCongress.com, that tackle a wide variety of things that would help neighborhoods just like this one, from education to criminal justice, and I even have a fund bill, which is a fundamental urban New Deal to help revitalize our urban areas, to make sure that we are building up these areas and providing the resources that we need to have healthy families and healthy members of the community who feel like they are safe and secure, and also getting a high quality education, high paying entry level jobs, and many more things. Thank you.
I have one other thing to say. You were asking what else could we do? We all of us can talk about Mayor Lightfoot and all the other elected officials. What we forgot to talk about is Kim Fox and the judicial system in Cook County and across Illinois. What we're doing in this state, and especially this county, is we're letting violent criminals back onto the streets. And that in itself is a lack of leadership. I mean, we're arresting people, and for police officers, that's even more disheartening. We're locking up vicious gangbangers, murderers, rapists, and within 48 hours, they're back on the streets to cause more violence. There's no repercussions, and when a criminal knows they can get away with things, and there's no law and order in the community and society anymore, they're going to take advantage of that and continue to cause violence in the communities. So we really have to also hold Kim Fox, our liberal leftist judges that we have in this county, accountable too for this. I mean, they're not doing the job for the people. They were elected to do a job to put away criminals, keep them in jail, and their failure to do that is in itself horrific. Thank you.
The solution is very simple. Defunding is not the solution, but provide our police to do a better job, more training. That's the solution. Thank you.
As I said when I spoke also, we absolutely have to look at our policies from the state and national level at what we're doing to destroy intact families, get fathers back in the house, allow them access to their children in a family situation. However, we need to work to do that, stop incentivizing the things that are causing the problems. And as Teresa mentioned, we need to also fix our education system. We need to stop pushing kids through when they're not ready to advance, get them the quality education that they need so they can actually have hope for the future. Fix the hope, fix the family, and we will do a lot to eliminate the crime that we see on the streets. You can find more information about my ideas for this at ben4illinois.com. That's ben4illinois.com. Thank you.
Again, I want to just do a final closeout. Unless there's other questions, that's fine, but go ahead.
Quickly, how do you work your views on Black Lives Matter and similar groups?
Oh, look, for me, I ran 4 structures for those Syrian Christians that were getting killed between 2014 and 2017. And in 2015, when one of my commanders was killed by a socialist Kurdish group in Syria, Antifa was there with them training, flying their flag. So it's beyond my understanding why we do not recognize their ties to foreign powers and foreign governments. In this case, when the YPG Kurds were getting money from the Russians, how is it possible that Antifa will not be getting it? The fact that they killed one of my commanders on the ground who was just trying to ensure that Christianity survived in Syria and Iraq. Now, as far as the other groups are concerned, you can have your groups, but you have to have a cause that is beyond what you're trying to do, that there's going to be an outcome. The only people who are going to write your outcome, folks, I hate to tell you, if you don't want to believe it, are the folks in the legislature. They're the ones who write the laws. They're the ones who pass the bills. So if you're an organization in this case, and the only thing you've achieved is to have your name placed on a road, the same road that cars drive on with dirty tires, people spit out of their windows on, birds poop on it, you have individuals who throw their garbage on, and people walk all over with their dirty shoes, and at times you have homeless people who defecate on it and urinate on it. That is not success. So if somebody in your leadership told you that's victory, you need to fire them. Go find leaders who understand that the only way you're going to win is you got to get your folks into Congress, period. And not take your money from you under a cause, give it to the already incumbents who've been sitting there for 30 years, 40 years, some of them only 70 years, and think that that's victory. With that said, on my behalf, again, I will tell you, it's all our fault. We have to work together. Otherwise, it's all hot air. Democrats, Republicans doesn't mean nothing. We're Americans. If we can't work together, we're going to keep on destroying ourselves internally. So all of us are to blame. We all got to do a better job of working together, reaching across the aisle, and working together as Americans. We the people, folks. We the people. Keep that in mind. Thank you very much.
I wasn't going to say anything, but you know where all this starts? Starts in the individual families. I mean, the government gets involved to help us. And all these people are great people with great ideas. But each family's got to go back to God, family, and country again, like we were founded on. If each family works with their own family to correct the problems in their own family, that's where it's got to begin, in the family. So when they talk about taking down churches and statues and all this other stuff, the family's got to step up and say to the members of the family, stop it. It's all got to come from the family. Thank you.
I have one more thing to address this question about Antifa and BLM. BLM, does everybody see their symbol? It's a black fist up in the air like this, right? That's the same fist of Marx. Okay, that's the same fist that the communist group has been using for the last 60 years. Antifascista, that's a communist group that fought against Hitler. Okay? These are Marxist groups. There's a YouTube video out there with the leader of BLM, or at least claiming to be the leader of BLM, explaining how she's a trained Marxist. That's the elephant in the room we don't want to talk about, okay? A lot of the policies of the liberal Democrats, and I'm looking at the cameras here, the media votes that way as well, which is why not much of this might make it on the TV tonight. I'm going to watch for it, okay? The words that we're saying aren't making it out, okay? The Marxists do not like America. They hate America. That's what we're fighting against, okay? They're fighting against the very system that allowed Jay-Z to become a billionaire. There is no racism in this system, okay? The racism is in the people who continue to pass false lies off as truth. Thank you.
Thank you. Further comments? Further thoughts? What are a few words?
Thank you.